Pride is the devil. I think it got a hold on me. Pride is the devil. That is the topic of the week in the NBA. My God. Hey, welcome back to One Man Fast Break. It's been a minute, but I'm back. You got to excuse me. This episode, I'm starting to lose my voice this week. I don't know what's going on. I feel fine. Maybe it's the allergies. It's springtime now. But we got a good episode today. Today's episode, we're just going to do a little recap of March basketball. March NBA basketball specifically. I know being an NBA fan, it's pretty hard to be locked in March because it's not the playoffs yet. There's other things going on like NCAA tournament. All-Star breaks ended. We got 10 games of the regular season left for most teams. So it's really hard to be locked in right now. But I'm going to try to highlight all the playoff teams that we could be locked into. Just to give you something to look forward to if you're an NBA guy. As much as I'm a basketball fan, I love college basketball, but sometimes it's just hard to watch. Like if it's a marquee team or a team that I feel like they don't play the right way or they play an archaic style, sometimes it's just hard for me to be locked into. But I do keep up. I see who's winning and see what's going on. I mean, Cooper Flag, I'm recording this on Friday. Last night, Cooper Flag had a monster game, so that stock, I mean, I can't really get much higher. He's the number one pick either way it goes. We're just going to be taking a look at these playoff teams, or in a small case, these play-in teams, teams that I believe will be in the playoffs and that actually matter. Not to, I don't want to poop on it if it's your team, if you're a Bulls fan. I'm not going to just spend a whole bunch of time talking about them, but let's get right into it, man. Today we're going to be starting with the Eastern Conference, man. Just giving a real quick recap over all the teams that I believe are worthy of talking about. Starting with the Cavs, I'm just going to work my way from top to bottom. Starting with the Cavs, I'm not necessarily hitting the panic button because obviously there's not many two true contenders in the Eastern Conference, as we all know. More than likely it'll be two teams. I think there's a third team that truly can finagle a way into being a contender. But that top tier, upper echelons, and obviously Cavs are one of them. Over the last month, they've been 10-5, which is good, which is actually really good. But compared to themselves, I'm sure they want to be better. But like I said, this is March basketball, March NBA basketball. These guys are ready for the playoffs. They've been so good for such a long time. This whole season they've been consistent, which is why I kind of want to excuse the 5-5 over the last 10 games. Including today. Right now it's March 28th. I'm recording this. They just lost to the Pistons in a tough game. I know these guys want to just get to the playoffs right now, but they had a 4-game losing streak. Also, I think that's something that hadn't happened all season. And two of those losses came against two teams that are not really competitive, talented but not competitive. The Suns and the Kings. That's just not something that, it is what it is. But the 3-point shooting has also regressed, so that's something to keep an eye out on. Because, they've been quite literally lights out on fire for 70 or 65 games. That's pretty insane. So, yeah, that's really all I got on it. I'm not hitting the panic button, but it's just my antennas are up because I'm a guy that picked the Cavs. I picked the Cavs to come out the Eastern Conference, so antennas are definitely raised, but I'm not panicking yet. On to the Celtics. Once again, I'm not going to spend too much time on the Celtics either. The Celtics are Celticing. These boys are. Jason Tatum don't play. They beat the Suns by 30. You got guys coming off the bench that I didn't even realize, were NBA players. No disrespect to those guys, but the talent is just deep. You got Porzingis coming back into the lineup. Al Horford is 98 years old. He's still playing outlandishly great defense. Porzingis is back. Realistically, if I take my fandom out of it, realistically, as much as I hate to say this, the Celtics can genuinely go back to back. I don't want to say with ease, but they're probably the betting favorite. If I were to bet right now, who's the betting favorite? It'd probably be the Celtics. Just put it like that. I just don't want to spend too much time on them. The machine is well oiled. Everything is clicking from top to bottom. Yep. Man, let's talk about the Bucks, man. They're currently a playoff team. They've moved down in the standings lately. Dame has blood clot in his leg. he's out indefinitely. There's hope that he could be back before the season, or I guess before the playoffs start. But for them, there's really no need to rush. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but genuinely, they don't have a shot in the Eastern Conference. As crazy as that is, as non-competitive as the upper echelon of the teams are, they don't really have a shot, man. You would think when this duo of Dame and Giannis came together, you would think that it was just a match made in heaven. I was one of the guys that thought that this was a match made in heaven. Getting rid of Drew Holiday was like, oh, that hurts, but you got the better offensive player. The name of the game is basketball. Put the ball in the basket, and that is what Dame and Giannis both do. And I mean, interesting enough, they are the highest scoring duo in the NBA. So I mean, that's the whole game. I mean, the name of the game is still basketball, but there's other things that are important. And I mean, you just look at this roster. I know the defense. I know the numbers say that the defense is, above average and good. But when you watch, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it at all, man. Brook Lopez still gives you valuable minutes for him to be. I don't know how old is Brook Lopez. 34, 35, 36. He's in that range. He's an older big man. He's still giving you valuable minutes. Giannis is still Giannis. He's actually a new and improved Giannis, shooting 45% from the mid-range this season. Like, that's something that I would not have bet on. Dame is back to Dame, even though he's a second option. He is as close to the late years of Portland Dame as you could be, right? But then you look at this team. I was talking to my boys about this. You look at the team like the Bucks. They don't have one thing that a lot of true contenders do have, and it's at least a A- defender, perimeter defender, and that's something that you just can't, you really can't live with. They don't have any depth either. Like, Kyle Kuzma was an acquisition that you thought could relieve the pressure off because Chris Middleton wasn't really able to get healthy and return to the form we know him as. So Kuz was brought in to do that, and he hasn't. His 3-point shooting has been not improved so far of the season. He's still shooting, I think, barely 30%. That's just not something you need on the Bucks. And then like I said, the perimeter defenders, Taurean Prince. He's good. I give him a B, not a B plus, a B. Then you got, you just don't have this. You don't have it. You just don't have it. So it's I don't want to say it's a wasted season, but it's kind of a wasted season, man. And it makes you wonder about a guy like Giannis, who is in the prime of his career. I think Giannis said something like he's been in MVP voting for like he's been top 4 in MVP voting for like the last 6 or 7 years, which is insane. Like, I didn't even realize it's been so long that he's been this good, but I mean, it has. I went back and looked, and it has. It's just kind of scary when you got a guy like Giannis who is in his prime and getting you 30 and 13 a game, and you're steady going out here and losing in the playoffs in the first round or second round, So just something to keep your eye out on for the Bucks, man. Things might not be good in Milwaukee coming soon. Next team is my Pacers. Those of you who don't know, if you're watching this, I'm a Lakers fan, and I grew up a Pacers fan. I like a lot of. I'm kind of a weird guy when it comes to my fandom. There's a lot of teams I like, and then for whatever odd reason, you're not going to hear me slander them. But there's a couple teams for whatever reason, I don't like. For example, the Raptors. I don't know where it came from. I'm not a Raptor. I don't like the Raptors. But there's a handful of teams that I like. But I am a Pacers fan. I'm also a Lakers fan. Interesting enough, whenever they play those 2 times a year, I have to just completely not root for anybody. And 3 days ago, LeBron hit a game winner against my Pacers. So, it was a win-win for me. But I mean, hey, I don't want to jinx us, but we play hard every night. The offense is obviously there. The pace is there. We got crazy good depth. I would say for I don't want to call us middle of the pack, but we're a middle of the pack playoff team. Like, things could go either way with a couple of teams we played. Like, we're going to talk about the Pistons next. I just realized in my notes I skipped the Knicks, but the Knicks also. Obi Toppin's been hooping. Like it's very likely we will finish with the 4 seed, possibly the 5 seed. We probably won't catch the Knicks. I think they're right now 2.5, 3 games above us, 3.5, something in that range. Likely won't catch the Knicks, but just since I glossed over the Knicks in my notes, for I don't know how that happened. The Knicks are the next team I can bring up. For the Knicks, man, I think it's so weird not having them as like a real contender when they're the 3rd seed. And I mean, they play the teams that are at their level and below. They play them as well as they possibly can. Like they own those teams when they play. So it's weird having the Knicks so just like I literally forgot about them. That's kind of crazy to consider. But I mean, Jalen Brunson, if he gets back healthy, they can definitely get out the first round. But it's just the ceiling on this team, right? Like I just don't know how I feel about. What am I trying to say? The Knicks have perimeter defenders, but they don't have the it factor. You got a team full of talent like Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is a playoff elevator. Like I don't mean to discredit him by any means, but it's something missing, right? Obviously, we all know, if you're tuned in with basketball, we all know that the Knicks against like the top 3 or 4 teams in the NBA, they like just haven't won a game against them, which is pretty concerning. But it's not even that, man. Because I think in the playoffs anything can happen, but it's just the it factor that I'm not a fan of them lacking. And of course, the Tom Thibodeau minutes. It's so odd that always seems to come back in the playoffs and that it actually matters. So that's my take on the Knicks, man. They're not a true contender, but playoffs, anything can happen. Even though I shouldn't like them, my Central Division rivals, one of the teams I just enjoy getting a kick out of watching, the Pistons, the next team. They just not beat up on the Cavs. There was a nice game, very good game, close game. Dennis Schroeder iced it. The Detroit Pistons, my God, man. Detroit Pistons, bro, they are gritty. They play defense. And they got it all backed up with their rising star, Cade Cunningham. I want to say I think he's like 6th in the NBA in scoring, and he's absolutely top 6 in the NBA in assists. I might have lied, but I know he's top 10 in the NBA in assists. I know that. I think he's top 6 though also. So you got a true offensive superstar, and you've surrounded him. I've said this in another one of my videos. You've been able to surround him with pieces that are actually competent and letting your draft picks actually grow. Like this has been such a great turnaround. And shout out to one of my guys. He's a kind of a hot take artist, but he was on the Pistons a year too early because I remember asking him about every year we text in the group chat and we say, shout out to Khalil. Every year we text in the group chat and give our predictions, even though they never hold up because injuries and all sorts of things happen. We just wrong sometimes. But the year that they were like the worst team, one of the worst teams in NBA history, he was on the Pistons bandwagon. He's an OKC fan, but he was on the bandwagon, and I'll allow him to root for the Pistons. We gonna let that slide. So, hey, you was just a year early, bro. But yeah, man, they got a nice team. They got Isaiah Stewart. He is a true enforcer. He's protecting the rim. The offensive game is there. He's one of those guys that if you have a Isaiah Stewart on your team, you love him. But if you don't have him, you absolutely hate him. You don't like playing against him. But you need that in the NBA, right? You need an enforcer. The Thompson twins' genetics must be studied. These dudes are not just phenomenal basketball players, but the athleticism and the defensive instincts. How does that even happen? How do you get that? All right, that needs to be studied because Asar Thompson has been amazing. I think that 4-5 matchup against the Pacers, if we secure that 4 seed, because we're likely, as a Pacers fan, we're likely to keep that 4 seed. That matchup would be insane, and I also think the matchup against the Knicks would be insane. So, the Bucks. I know the Bucks are dropping right now, and that means the Pistons are going to rise. But I would love a first round matchup of Pistons Pacers or Pistons Knicks. Either one of those, I'd live for that. So that's pretty much it for them. And just a real quick shout out to the Chicago Bulls. Chicago, I mean, it is being a Midwest boy myself. I love seeing the Bulls actually look somewhat competent. Basketball is just better when the Bulls are good. Have you noticed that? Even if you're not a Bulls fan, and once again, Central Division rival, right? Like I shouldn't like them, but basketball is better when the Bulls are good, and not that the Bulls are good. They shouldn't be good. They shouldn't want to be good. You know, you got a potential generational talent in the draft, Cooper Flag. You want to give yourself the best chances to get him. The Bulls are not doing that. They're going to fight for a play-in seed, play-in chances once again, it appears. But, I mean, Kobe White, Josh Giddey, you know, you get a little round of applause, man. Y'all have been balling. Kobe White, you've been hooping. Josh Giddey, that jump shot has come around. I won't forgive you for gaming my Lakers from half court. But, I mean, hey, it's good basketball, man. Good basketball. Shout out to the Bulls. Doesn't change the way I feel about that front office, though. All right, man. On to the West. Like I told y'all, I'm keeping this video. I am a yapper, especially when it comes to ball. Keeping this video as short and as condensed as I possibly can. I'm not trying to overwhelm with stats and just talking. You know, it's almost playoffs. I will be doing a lot of talking. Man, I'm losing my voice anyway, right? So, going on to the Western Conference, we got OKC. Like, they're the Western Conference version of Boston for this video. I don't want to talk too much about them. I mean, they've secured the 1 seed. I don't know how long ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we still got 10 games left in the season. In the Western Conference, they've secured the 1 seed, right? Very crazy. I mean, these dudes, they can play with none of your starters playing and still beat a playoff team, right? Like this, the depth is crazy. The youth is crazy. The fact that they are one of the youngest teams, like top 5 youngest teams in the NBA. It's insane that they are what they are. So yeah, I just don't want to spend too much time on them. They're an amazing team, amazing season. We just got to see how it looks in the playoffs. On to the next team, we got the Houston Rockets. This is a team that instead of a lot of drama being talked about, right, in the NBA, hence the pride is the devil reference in the beginning of this video. This is a team that, like, why are we talking about the things we talk about on major platforms when you got a team like the Rockets doing what they're doing right now? This is a team that I might even be a part of what I'm about to say as well. But this is a team that we know a lot of people saying that we're confident, even if you're the lower seed, we're confident playing y'all because of y'all age, right? And I know this is not the playoffs, but I mean, you look at what they've done in March. They're 11-4. They've been on a hot streak. Like they've caught fire lately. They're pretty much trying to secure that 2 seed right now. Over the month of March, they've averaged 117 points per game, which is for them is their highest points per game of the season of a month, which is, you know, the Rockets' weakness is offense. And with that being said, they've also had their highest field goal percentage for a month. So that's very impressive for them. That is something that you want to see. And also, while doing so, the defense is pretty much sustained elite as what it's been all season long. So, I mean, if you're a Rockets fan, that's what you want to see right now. Jalen Green has been visibly and statistically better, right? Like the last 10 games I got that he's averaging 24, 7, and 5, right? 24, 7, and 5 from Jalen Green, a guard. Guys like him, sometimes they get under my, in a good way, they get under my skin because what he's doing right now is kind of like when I look at a guy like Jalen Green and I'm saying, not even in the scoring aspect, right? Like I know Jalen Green is a tough shot taker, so sometimes those shots don't fall. So I don't want to play efficiency police, but sometimes I look at Jalen Green and he's like, I know that he's more than what he is, but he just turned into such a one-way player, right? Like tough shots, and I can get to the rim when I want, and I don't do that all the time. But it's the other things, right? Like when your shot ain't falling, go and crash the glass. Like I know you're only 6'4", but you're showing me right now that you can do it. You're averaging nearly 7 boards a game over the last 10. You've the vision and your IQ has obviously improved. You're averaging 5 assists, right? I think it's like a roughly a 2-to-1 turnover to assist. My apologies, people. Nasty work. My phone died. My phone died, but it's okay. We back. I think I was just going on about the Rockets. I was just going on about the Rockets, man. Jalen Green has improved. This is just what you want to see going into the playoffs if you're a Rockets fan. You're right. The sky's the limit, I guess. This is, I guess, maybe what I should say. Maybe sky isn't the limit. But this is another I have nothing to lose team, right? The Rockets have nothing to lose. This was a team that wasn't in the playoffs last year. You have a super young roster. You've got draft capital. You've got move. You've got flexibility in the future, right? Nothing to lose. Go out and play hard. Nuggets and Lakers, I don't want to just group them together like this. I'm keeping this video as short as possible. I don't want to just group them together like this, but I look at them very similar, right? As a Lakers fan, obviously the Nuggets are our ops. No, I'm just kidding. But they have the highest ceiling while also having the lowest floor, right? Both of these teams, there's a potential that these teams could play each other in the first round, so obviously somebody would have to move on. But in this theoretical scenario, if both of these teams against the wrong matchup, I can easily see them losing in the first round. But oddly enough, I can also both see them if the Lakers get hot and understand Luka or Jamal Murray, becomes playoff Murray again, and Michael Porter Jr. is doing his thing. The Nuggets are the Nuggets. They could also, both of these teams could definitely see themselves in the finals, right? It's such a large span. I think it's no other team in the NBA, in my opinion, has this huge window like that. Obviously, for different reasons, the continuity with the Lakers, just getting used to Luka and LeBron being together, figuring out how you're gonna play chess matches, win these chess matches defensively against teams with no. I mean, Jackson Hayes has been playing great, but chess matching against teams that are going to pick on Luka and pick on Austin Reeves, and try to exploit you defensively and use your lack of size against you. And for the Nuggets, I mean, same thing defensively. They're statistically a good defensive team, but when you look at them, once again, like the Bucks, it doesn't really translate. But of course, they have the greatest offensive engine of all time, so anything is possible. Jamal Murray has been balling as of since the calendar year flipped. But you really want to see him turn into a real, true All-Star level player, or All NBA type of player in the playoffs. And the others have to do their thing. This is not the championship team from a couple years ago, right? Like these young guys, Julian Strawthers of the world, Christian Brown. These guys had to step up and do their thing. Next team, keeping them all short. Y'all got to be proud of me at this point, right? I'm keeping it short. Memphis Grizzlies. What in the world? I was at work today and I just seen they just fired Taylor Jenkins. They're I want to say he's on his 5th or 6th season as the Memphis Grizzlies head coach. Was not expecting that. That would definitely be probably the last thing I was expecting, honestly. 9 games left on the season. I understand that they've been 6-9 since the end of February, but you got to account like Ja has missed a third of the games once again this year. And this dude, man, genuinely, he's a top 5 coach in the NBA. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't he coach of the year like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that, right? Coach of the year. You got your Desmond Bane has been developed. Actually, when you really sit back and think about it, the Memphis Grizzlies have developed so many guys, so many young guys, like guys you would have never thought would have developed into what they are. I mean, obviously a huge part of that is coaching, right? So it's just so crazy that they would drop him like this. I mean, I tried to find some reports on why. I haven't got a definite answer, so I'm not going to spew anything out, but I mean, obviously it's going to come out sooner or later. Especially, this is just the craziest timing, though, also, like to fire a guy. The 5th seed in the West, Ja's been hooping lately, too. Like, after the All-Star break, he's increased his points per game by, like, 6 or 7 points. So, what was the reason? If you were going to fire the guy, especially a guy that has had the success he's had, you couldn't even just wait till after the playoffs, even if you didn't believe in him. Because now I feel like, he was a player's coach. He put the players first. He was a guy that's going to ride for his players. So did you fire him? I feel like the vibes are ruined. The vibes are ruined for sure. And as a guy who was buying very cheap stock in the Grizzlies, my panic alarm. I'm spamming the panic button. I had to get that loud noise in there to get your attention. I'm spamming the panic button. Yeah, man, Memphis, interesting move from you. Last few teams, I got the Clippers. Clippers are low key turning into one of those teams. If you're a young team, especially, you don't want to see. There's still a couple. I mean, obviously, OKC's a young team, but I'm still picking the OKC Thunder against them. But I mean, the Rockets. I just praised the Rockets, but if I'm a Rockets guy, I don't want to see the Clippers right now with the way that they've been steady, I guess is the word. Of course, I just want to start with Zubac, former Laker. That man he has been unlocked offensively. Thanks, shout out to James Harden and shout out to his hard work, of course. And defensively, he's been locked in, right? Zubac has been amazing this year. He's been all-star level, arguably from this season alone, top 5 center, might I say? What y'all think about that? Top 5 center. But Kawhi as of late has been a plus 20, over 25 points per game lately. He's been balling. He's looking more Kawhi-esque. Obviously, you're not going to get the same elite two-way all game long Kawhi Leonard that we were used to seeing 5 years ago. But he has times where if he needs to, he can get in that defensive, get in that chair defensively and beat Kawhi of old. And of course, offensively, he's still going to be him. And then you got guys like Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr., who are very X-factor players. If those shots are falling, good night, man. Good night. I mean, it's going to be very hard to beat a team like that. Because, I mean, Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. and, of course, Big Zoo. And I don't want to leave guys out like Norman Powell, but those three specifically have been the kind of culture builders of this new and improved kind of, new stadium, Intuit Dome, new Clippers team. And just James Harden, all-star year, of course. He's just been steady. I love the way he's played. If you ask him to score, he can score. So he can still, of course, this is James Harden. And if you ask him to, just be the floor general and get everybody involved, he's going to do that. And then last two teams, man, I know that the Golden State Warriors are technically in the play-in right now, but I mean, all of these teams are within 3 games from the 2 seed to the 8th seed are within 4 games of each other. We got 10 games left, so anything can truly happen. So Golden State Warriors, I mean, playoff Jimmy might be a thing still, and I would love to see that unless they play in my Lakers, which once again is very possible. First round, I need to see a playoff Jimmy because I don't want to say that I thought that this trade was groundbreaking, but when that happened, I was like, what is it doing for you? And you paid him the bag. I mean, obviously, I said that on this channel. You're giving him the bag, like, dang, really? But you can't argue with results, man. You can't argue with results. I know that they haven't had the toughest of schedules, right? They haven't really, outside of playing the Bucks, they haven't really played a true big other than Giannis. I mean, and Draymond, we all seen he did a great job guarding Giannis one-on-one. But, I mean, the Warriors, man, they got it. They got it. I want to see what they can do, especially, once again, modern NBA is very matchup-based. If they get the right matchups, this is another team with an interesting, not as big as the Lakers or Nuggets in my opinion, but an interesting floor to ceiling potential. Also, I seen something random too, like Draymond and Jimmy Butler are like the best defensive duo in the time that they spent together. So that's something just to keep an eye on. And my last team, obviously, like I said, they're not in the playoffs, the play-in team, 8th seed right now, Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves, they 10-3 in the month of March, right? They've been putting it together. They have their identity. They stick to it. Slow pace, defensive oriented team. Anthony Edwards is obviously the focal point, but then you got guys like Jaden McDaniels who've been able to help out offensively a lot. He's been improving over the last 2 months, just like right in front of our eyes. And Naz Reid off the bench. He could potentially be a back-to-back 6 Man of the Year winner this go round. He's he's going to be. I think he's coming up for his contract. He's going to be, demanding a lot of money soon. So they know their identity. Anthony Edwards at absolute worst has been second team All NBA. Like I just said in that last again on that last team, the Golden State Warriors, basketball in the modern era, NBA basketball is very much matchup based. I would still put my money on OKC if I had to pick if they played a team like OKC in the first round. But a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves would be the type of team to upset them, right? If it were to happen, you got a defensive oriented team, can match size, can match physicality, slows the game down, taking you out of your offense and trying to control the tempo. That's the type of team that could really give a team like the OKC Thunder at bare minimum some trouble, right? Not like I said, I'm not picking them, but will be an interesting matchup. And that's all we got, man, today. I tried to keep this short. Just recap, not even a recap. We just NBA basketball in March has always been kind of a drag. We just all sitting waiting for the playoffs. Sometimes we don't even watch the games. Some guys don't even watch the games. I'm always be tapped in, man. Shout out March Madness, though. All right, man, we out. Peace.